Hello, and today I've got a bit of a showcase video instead of the LP episode that you should be getting today. Yeah, I ended up sitting down and designing this, and I couldn't really stop designing it once I'd started. So yeah, this is a Ghast farm. Also doubles, no matter how quiet I make it, it's still very loud. Also doubles as a gold farm and magma farm as well. Yeah, I thought I'd show it off. It's still a little bit of a work in progress, but it's got some reasonably nice design features in there that I thought I'd show off to you guys. So before I do, I'll just mention I have used MC Edit to delete all the nether below the nether ceiling. However, that just allows me to be anywhere around here and for the farm to work. But the idea with this farm is that you use this big long ladder that goes up through the middle of the farm, and you stand all the way up at the top here on this platform, which pretty much makes most of the nether out of spawning range. You would need to do sanitize like just the top of the nether, so it wouldn't be that too difficult to do. Now the basic concept on this is we have these spawning rods, and this area here is big enough for ghasts to spawn. We've got two wide gaps on either side with trapdoors, open trapdoors. This is to fool the pigmen into falling off, and it works pretty fast. So the pigmen killing mechanism is entirely passive. No active components there, redstone, repeaters, clocks, pistons, none of that stuff. So that naturally saves on quite a bit of system overhead there, making it not very laggy at all. They simply just fall all the way down here, and they land on these rails, which is a bit overkill. I could have put basically walls all the way down to the bedrock, and then I'd only need 4 rails, 2 for each gap. Also, it's a bit derped at the moment because I accidentally moved the farm several blocks over in MC Edit, but you get the idea there. These are just hopper minecarts going back and forth. I'm powering them with redstone blocks over the top so that I can put slabs on to stop magma cubes spawning on them. As it is, the only spawnable spaces for magma cubes down here are in this area here. So that's an acceptable amount. In fact, you could extend this rail off over there before doing this setup here to make it out of further than 128 blocks away. So that would mean 0 magma cube spawning down here if you wished. And as you can see, the drops are pretty ferocious. Now this is a supersized farm. You'd probably only want to build it half the size, half as many levels if you're building it in survival. But as you can see, drop rates are pretty excellent from that. Now we'll get on to the slightly more clever part. So ghast spawning. What we've got here is, so the ghasts can spawn on these bars, and the idea is these carts pick them up and take them over to suffocation booths over there. Originally I was letting the ghasts move themselves against the wall and get picked up, but it's a bit too long. Sometimes they idle out and they just sit on the bar for ages. So what we've got here is we've got tripwires up here, which push pistons alternating one way and the other way. So when a ghast spawns, he's pushed over against the wall, and the next time the cart comes past, it's going to pick him up. So if we can maybe find a ghast, they're obviously in the system, you can hear them, but we can see this happen. Probably on the other side. Come on, I can hear one. Where are you? Oh, there you are. So this guy has spawned. He's been pushed over. You can. He's been pushed over, and you'll see a cart will go past. Yeah, that's interesting. So as I say, it's a bit of a work in progress still. He's obviously, that piston has slightly glitched into him, and he's not getting picked up by the cart, which is a shame. We'll just give him a bit of a push. There you go. So he gets picked up by the cart, and goes along here, into there, suffocates, and the cart waits for him, and then the cart moves off and is ready to pick up another ghast. They will also pick up magma cubes. The little guys will fall down, but the middle and large guys will, well, the middle guys can fall down, but they often end up jumping over the gap, catching the trapdoor on the other side and jumping up and down. So they'll get picked up as well. Both types will get suffocated, split. The next size will get suffocated, split until it gets to the little guys. And then most of those will actually split into the blocks and die instantly. Occasionally one will get into the cart. And we'll move over here to explain this overly complicated cart return here. Now the whole point of this is basically, if there's a small guy in the minecart, he won't get suffocated in the booth. So when he comes back this way, the cart kind of does glitches through the diagonal blocks there like that. As it does that, a bit of lag there. As he does that, this block suffocates the small slime magma instantly and kills him. So we don't have carts going back and forth with magma stuck in them and unable to pick up any more mobs. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the suffocation booth itself. So if we, here we go. So this is how it works. So this is pretty much solid apart from where there are hoppers, and there's 2 columns of hoppers going down to the bottom, one for each wing, and the final 2 bits of track here are on hoppers, and we've got normal track and then a power rail. Now the rest of the power rail is permanently powered with levers. This power rail is powered by this torch here. So when a ghast or a medium or a large slime rides the cart in here, they actually depress this pressure plate here, which turns off this torch and depowers the rail. So the cart will wait until the pressure plate is not depressed, i.e. the mob is dead, before the torch will come back on, power the rail, and the cart will take off again. Slight disadvantage is this hopper spends a lot of time locked, but the items do get through. Sometimes a few get caught up here, but next time a mob goes in there, they flow on down the system. So that is pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty much that. The system seems pretty good, to be honest. I do think there are probably simpler ways to make a ghast farm. But as I say, once I'd started designing this thing, I couldn't stop. So anyway, I will provide a world download. I'm not going to do a tutorial because it's bloody big. Oh, I'll explain this as well, actually. These big panels of slabs here are to stop, basically, small slimes can spawn on these tracks. But if they do, and they're on this flat bit of track here, then the cart just stops dead. And that's a bad thing. So I've filled all the air spaces on the inside that are level with that block with string, and then I could have used string on the outside as well, but I decided, well, I decided to use slabs purely because if you were to build this out of creative, putting 30 blocks of string all the way out would be incredibly difficult, require a lot of scaffolding. It'd be a lot easier to just do it with slabs. So that's what I did. And that stops any spawns, because there are no air blocks for at least 30 blocks in all directions. So that stops spawns on this level here. Now, you do still get spawns in here, and so small slimes, small magmas can spawn there, and also under this iron bar, and pigmen can spawn in this area here where we've got the too high bit. Now, with the slopes of the rails, when that happens, the cart will basically go back down the slope rather than just stopping dead. So that's that kind of mitigates the main issue, that is the cart stopping dead on the tracks. Yeah, in order to stop spawns on these levels completely, I'd have to put in, well, another 1, 2, 3 sets of these platforms per level, which would just be ridiculous. So yeah, I figured that this actually works well enough to keep the cart moving. So I left it like that. But yeah, there you go. There are all the technical details. If you've got any questions, write them in the comments down there. And let's have a quick look, I guess, down here. As you can see, it's picking gas tears and gunpowder up quite nicely. Yeah, it's just what I've been messing around with instead of recording an LP episode like it should have been. So I thought I'd share it with you. Anyway, as I say, we'll download in the description below. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves.